Very, very disappointing, thank you. Very disappointing game. Felt like we came out of the blocks fast. Good kickoff return, big play on the first play of the game. They came right back and scored. Just overall, I got to give credit to Missouri State. They're a good football team, and I knew they were coming in. That wasn't just coach speak. That was I knew they were a good football team. Everybody in our league's good. There's nobody in our league that's not good, and there's nobody in our league that can't beat somebody else on any given weekend. So we didn't play well enough. They played well enough. They made the plays when they needed to make them. We didn't. We turned the ball over. We didn't run the football well enough on offense. We gave up too many big plays on defense. I think it's simple as that. Questions?
Mike, defensively, there was a bad sign that first series, and then it went downhill really quickly from there defensively, and that's, that was the first thing, obviously, but just talk about that first, and just Missouri State was able to move the ball with a lot of consistency in the first half in particular.
Yeah, I think that first drive, when they got the ball, they were able to move it very well, and I think there was a period of time there when we got some stops, like in the second quarter when we got, they got up on us, and then we got some stops and we scored to get it to 24-24. I thought at that point going into halftime that we kind of had it back on track, and that it was 0-0 at halftime, basically 24-24, and I believed we were going to win the second half, and we didn't do that. We didn't play well enough. We didn't make the plays at the right time. They did, and we turned the ball over.
Malik Earl, their wide receiver, number 17, he had 11 catches today. Just talk about what a difficult matchup he was, and then in tandem with their other wide receiver, Holloman, that was difficult, especially after Lionel Brown got injured.
Yeah, and that was difficult. He's a good player. 17's a very good football player. Number 5's a very good football player going into the game. And their quarterback played well. For all the talk about what happened with the other quarterback, this guy played really well. I got to give them credit. And we have got to play better than them. We didn't play like we could play.
As you mentioned, the turnovers, especially in the second half, hurt a lot. You also lost 3/5 of your offensive line as well. Can you just talk about the influence that had? Not to make excuses, but that didn't help your cause either.
Yeah, we've been, protected from the injury bug pretty well up until this game, and we lost, boom, 3 offensive linemen: James Lang, Matt Byrne, and Dakota Vermillion in the second quarter. And 2 of them were declared out in the second quarter. They held Dakota out, and then they declared him out at halftime. I don't know how that's all going to pan out, but they were all 3 head injuries. Then Lionel Brown being hurt was significant. I don't know all the details of that, but it doesn't look good.
Bob Pugh too. Looked like he was missing after the.
Yeah, Bob Pugh had an ankle sprain that happened early in the game. I'm going to say end of the first quarter, second quarter. He had an ankle sprain.
When you talked to me earlier this week, you talked about the roller coaster that this team is taking on in the course of games, and today's game was no different from that. How do you kind of compute this roller coaster right now in the scope of a loss after going through it in the scope of 2 wins? How does this team get out of that pattern that they've had? Some good and some bad, and today the bad hurt you.
Yeah, I think too much bad. The good news about the two games that we won. I'm with all due respect to Butler, I'm talking about SEMO and Illinois State. Those 2 games, we were a roller coaster, but we had enough highs. We were going up the roller coaster enough that there weren't the downs. And today it was I don't know how roller coasters go that way, but there were way too many downs and not enough ups. And that, you know, that's the only thing I could say, you know, as far as an analogy. We've got to find a way to eliminate that and play more consistent and eliminate the downs. We've got to tackle better.
The past couple of weeks, Coach, you really credited the guys of sticking together late in those games and being able to pull out those wins against SEMO and Illinois State. I know you pointed to the turnovers, but really besides the turnovers, what did you feel was the biggest difference in the second half?
I would say the combination of turnovers and the fact that they made plays and we didn't make plays. You know, I mean, it comes down to that. You got to be able to make plays, and we didn't make the plays when we needed to make plays, and they did. Somebody else, I think, was starting to ask a
Kind of
question.
fed off my question. Another week where a slow start in the second half today, or last week, we were able to combat that, get the win. Today, obviously, second half and the first half, different stories. What do you do going forward to try and help, you know, going in the half, coming out stronger than you did?
Yeah, we've got to evaluate that. We've got to do better in the third quarter. You know, we must be better than that. We've just got to evaluate it. I don't have the answer right now. I've got to look at it and evaluate it and discuss it with our coaches and go from there.
Mike, when you look at it defensively, in terms of what you evaluate, you mentioned tackling. Are there other things that you look at in terms of evaluations going forward? Missouri State was able to both run and throw the ball pretty effectively today. I mean, I know you haven't looked at film or anything like that yet.
Yeah, the two things that I would say, let me give you three. I already said tackling, okay? Our run fits were not what they needed to be. Our people weren't fitting. You know, there's places that people need to fit in the run game, and we were not. You know, we'd have everybody fit except one guy, and they were hitting the hole that one guy didn't fit in. And so we've got to be better in that regard. And then we can't have, we had balls thrown over our head today. Big plays thrown over our head, and we can't do that.